So this is the first real anticipated movie of the year. Is it any good? Hey, what's up everybody? I'm John from Mothman Jones Reviews, and today I'll be reviewing John Carter. John Carter stars the two main people who are Taylor Kitsch, whom people might know from Friday Night Lights and from X-Men Origins Wolverine, and Lynn Collins, who is also in X-Men Origins Wolverine. There are also a bunch of other people in this cast, including William Dafoe, Bryan Cranston has a short role, and also Mark Strong. Now, I can't really explain the plot, but I'll get into that later concerning the actual story, but the main plot is basically about this guy named John Carter, who is part of the American Civil War in the 1880s, and he's just this really ambitious, crazy guy, and he finds himself in this cave, and somehow, someway, he's transported to Mars, which is called Barsoom. And from here we have this very sophisticated story that was adopted and adapted from a book made by Edgar Rice Burroughs, who also made Tarzan. Disney took a big risk with this one. They trusted Andrew Stanton, the director of Finding Nemo, and he was also involved with a lot of other Pixar films, to create this $250 million budget of a film. And it was a huge risk. It's probably going to flop big time, but you know what? I went to a screening for it today, and I really enjoyed it for what it was. And for what it was more than what it should have been. It's very sophisticated, it's very story-based, and you need to pay attention when you're watching this movie. No time for bathroom breaks or doing anything to get candy or anything for this movie, because if you miss any little information, you're going to get lost. I'm going to start with the acting. I was pleasantly surprised by the acting, especially from Taylor Kitsch and Lynn Collins. Taylor Kitsch was Gambit in the Wolverine movie, and he was okay there, but here he actually showed some charisma. And some people didn't like him, some people liked him. I liked him. I love him. I liked the role. And Lynn Collins was unbelievably sexy as the Princess of Mars. Always wearing this very, sexy, provocative clothing where you could see most of her skin. Particularly towards the end, where she's wearing this really nice dress. Now, I don't want to sound like a pervert here, but she was hot. But to back up her hotness, she was also very tough. She's not one-dimensional. Unlike a lot of characters in movies, a lot of women who are just they're hot girls, typical example, Megan Fox in Transformers. She's more than a sex symbol, if you know what I mean. One thing I have to mention that was spectacular, the cinematography and special effects were top-notch. And for a 250 plus budget of a film, it had to be great. But it was amazing. Cinematography, the way they shot a lot of angles and the way they showed the scope of Barsoom was fantastic. The design for the cities was very, I felt like a Roman thing going on there, very ancient but also very fascinating. And it was very old school, but that was because the book was written in the, I believe, early 1900s or the late 1800s. Because that's when the book takes place during the Civil War. So it makes sense that it's more old school and more civilized in a way. Unlike today where it's modern, but it's very old school modern. One thing I really didn't expect in this movie was the amount of humor that was in it. Basically, without spoiling anything, the aliens kind of confuse the words Virginia and John Carter, in a sense, and it makes them some sick comedy, and it's a running gag that keeps going for the first part of the film. Actually, most of the film, actually. And it really worked. Concerning the story, it puts you in a place where you're not really sure what's going on, and you learn more as the movie goes on. It's one of those things where it's very mysterious in the beginning, and then as you move forward, you start to learn more about John Carter, his past, and everything else. Personally, for me, I was mesmerized the whole time, and I was very engaged and emotionally invested in these characters and what was going to happen to them. I was mesmerized, but I did understand that it was a little all over the place. It got a little all over the place. For most of the movie, I was reminded of Pirates of the Caribbean when I first saw that in 2003. It's hard to elaborate without actually spoiling anything, but if you really want to see a good movie, a good different movie, something unique, I say go for it, but I feel like you're going to either love this movie or hate it. As I was walking out, I overheard the girl say, "I didn't get it." That comment just baffles me a bit, but still, that reinforces the fact that I think people are going to walk out of this movie and be like, what the hell is that? I didn't get it. Which is why it's probably going to flop. Again, there's a lot of pacing issues towards the end, and it gets really messy and what's the word, sloppy in a way. So overall, I really enjoyed John Carter. It's not a great movie, but I thought it was a good movie, and I feel like if you really want to see something unique and different, like I said before, you should go see it. I really hope it's a sequel to this movie, because I think a sequel, I think people can appreciate this movie over time, and there could be a sequel, and the sequel will do huge numbers. I really think that, but probably not going to happen. Despite saying I was mesmerized and I really loved it, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. I wouldn't say it's standard. It's above standard. Just, it's hard to explain, but there was a few flaws in it that really hurt it. So the question of the day: it seems like this movie is gonna flop, which is unfortunate. And I hate to make assumptions, but I'm just gonna base it off of this. Is there a movie that really flopped at the box office that you liked? If you enjoyed this review and you're looking forward to more reviews in the future, you could subscribe right there. You can also get the links down for Twitter and Facebook down below, so you can be updated on all the things I'm doing lately. I'm John from Mothman Jones Reviews once again. See you next time.